Alright guys, today we're going to be doing a tool review on the Snap-on 1/4 inch digital torque wrench. When you open it up, it comes with a lithium-ion battery. Always store the battery outside of the tool and make sure when you're installing it that it is clean, no oils on it. I have seen them get debris on them and then short to the case and get super hot, and your warranty will be void if you damage it in this way. On this tool, it does say on the bottom, but it's reverse threaded, so left tightens it when that normally loosens. So it is there on the bottom of the tool, but a little different. Once you get the battery in, you'll see it turn on and torque 0, and it zeros pretty well. We do have a range of, I believe it's like 2 Newton meters to 47 Newton meters in that ballpark. And then you have a bunch of units. You can do Newton meters, kilograms, centimeters, decanewton meters, foot pounds, inch pounds. Those are our units for the torque values. You can also switch it to degrees or angular torque. To do that, you just press the enter button and it says angle 0 required. So you'll need to set it down on a still surface. Can't even hold it still. It senses every movement. And it needs to, because it's detecting the movement, the rotation that you're applying to the bolt. So then you can just choose your degrees by holding down up or down the button. And so we're going to go ahead and set it to 180 degrees, and it takes a little bit of time to get moving, but there we go. Now, using the wrench, we're going to go over here. I have a water pump from Mercedes, and these little bolts here I already know are 7 Newton meters. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to 7 Newton meters. And again, this is a very fine measurement tool, so it takes some time to get it to go to that rating, but here we are. Torque is to on, and we're going to go ahead and twist this. And remember, always apply the torque on the handle here. If you start applying it on the end, you can over tighten this, and definitely don't apply the torque to this plastic, as it's a soft plastic. You wouldn't want to break it. So we're going to go ahead and apply it, and then you can see boom, and there we go. It stores the last value. Then also, once it stops showing you the last value that you received, it will store up here in the top right hand corner that you've done 1 bolt. So if you're like having a hard time, remember, did I torque them all? It'll have that number there. Now, just remember, if you get to that torque value and then you take it off and try to just check the torque, or you think you torqued it too much and you want to back off and retorque it, it will continue adding to that count even though you're still on the same bolt. So if you've got, let's say, like in this case, 6 bolts, and then you get to the end and it says you've done 6, but you checked the torque on a couple, well, then you still have a couple that are not torqued. So a little tricky to use it, but I mean, you can figure it out there. Okay, so Micah, you may be asking, why do I need one of these when I already have a 3/8 drive? What's the point? And really, the reason for this, the biggest benefit is like the size. When you're working in a very tight engine bay, this fits in some pretty tight places. So it's definitely come in handy for that aspect. But the other big reason is when you're torquing quickly, let's say transmission pan bolts or valve cover bolts, and they're very low torque bolts, like 6 to 10 Newton meters. When you're using something like this and you've got a lot of bolts, so you're really wanting to fly through it, when you hit your torque value of, let's say, 7 Newton meters and it beeps, because you have such a long leverage from the point of rotation, once your body registers that beep or feels the vibration and tries to stop, because of the length of this, you've already passed it by a larger percentage than you do on this. When this one, hear the beep, because again, it's shorter, you have less leverage, you're more likely to stop right on that torque value. So as you can see on this one, I went 7.06 Newton meters. Let's go ahead and try the same thing with this wrench. And I'll give you an example. Again, make sure your batteries are really clean before they go back in the tool. Okay, cool. So we've got this one set at 7 Newton meters, and we're just gonna kind of go and look. So once I hit it and stopped, I was at 7.9. So that's like what, 12% over torqued. And when you're torquing a plastic case like this and you go uneven torques, it does not provide a consistent clamping force. And especially with plastic valve covers, transmission pans, it will cause the pan to start to warp, which means you're just gonna have a shorter life of those gaskets and the pan. And if you're just trying to bust through a 30 bolt pan, It's just really nice that you can get a good rhythm going, get really fast, and if you over torque it, like you saw in that, I was like 1.2% over torque versus this one being a full 12% over torque. All right, so some of the drawbacks of the tool. My tool has on this plastic case here, it's actually bowed, and there's a gap, and you know, working around cars, there's a lot of debris, dirt, and liquids that could go in there. So I put a piece of clear tape, that way I don't lose the functionality of my light system, but a piece of clear tape across it on both sides just to prevent anything from going into it. I did talk to Snap-on about this, and they said that all the tools have this same problem. It's kind of a design flaw, but anyway, that's the fix for that. The other thing that I don't like about it is when you're scrolling through the values, because it's such a specific, precise tool, you don't, like when you move, you're moving by 1/100th of a Newton meter. And then it jumps to 10 Newton meters, and then it jumps on up to 1 whole Newton meter at a time. Let's say you're supposed to go to 20 and you get to 21. Well, now you got a lot of clicking to do, or you can hold and then try to again time it. It's just a little bit tricky. The buttons are recessed, so it helps a little bit when you're working with the tool for them not to get punched, but again, it does happen sometimes. But overall, I'm really happy with the tool. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off and take the battery out.